Young TV, get him in here. You don't want to miss this.
And the ancestors are looking out for us. God Hayes is exposing them, man.
Okay, you see that chair right there? See how big it is?
Yeah.
Now look at the Pope chair under it. Scroll down, look at the Pope chair under
Never have it been made so clear.
Young TV. Young.
We running the game right now.
Young TV.
Time to take over.
Young
We the hottest in the game. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you just not tuned in.
TV.
Share, like on your Instagram, Facebook.
Young TV.
If you tuned in, we broadcasting live from 2030, baby.
Young TV. Young
Taking over the game, baby. Oh yeah.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Young TV.
Get them likes up in the air, you heard me?
Young TV.
Ride by. Hotel Islam.
Young TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Flown letter. Peace.
Young
Be unto you.
TV.
Hit that like.
I probably only got my Californians up right now with me because they probably like 2 hours ahead of us. Hey man, shout out everybody that's in the building with us tonight. Today was my birthday that just passed. If you want to show us some love on the Cash App, we already dropped that in the links. June 2nd, right? Now, we've been putting out a series of tapes. We did put out the Dirty Moors Takeover Hollywood. Matter of fact, let's share our screen right now. If you ain't saw that Dirty Moors Takeover Hollywood, man, you got to go watch that, man, and really catch what's being said, man. We're doing some high power alchemy now. Pretty much finishing them off, taking them to the cleaners. Taking them to the cleaners, man. We taking everybody, taking them to the cleaners. Finishing them off. Now, if you ain't checked out that movie on the video side called Dirty Moors Takeover Hollywood, you got to go check that movie out, man. Now, today we put out a series of 9 tapes, which is pretty much we starting you off with beginning of the American history since we're going into the 4th of July and all that. So we just gave you pretty much the start of America. Well, not America, United States Corps, pretty much. Because I'm gonna get into the America thing too, because this wasn't called America too. The American thing connects with other colonizers who came, who changed the name around from Timeri to America. And they were colonizers, the Moors. They were Moors from Great Britain. The Moors from Great Britain changed it to America. And the Moors from Morocco, right? They changed it from to America, but it was Timeri at first, before that. And what happens is, like I said, we gave you on a video, so I'm going to get down to the storyline, but on the video side, we gave you pretty much the Dirty Moors Takeover Hollywood, how they switched out the $5 ends. I'm going to get into that. But we also gave you, like I say, the 9 tapes that came out today. I'll give you the start of the United States Corps, which was 13 colonies separate from America, separate from Turtle Island, separate from Timeri, right? Which they changed to America, right? And And so the 13 colonies were businesses, companies, the East Indian trading companies, all these companies that had leasing agreements with the British, who were Moors. King George and them were Moors. The Moors ruled England and Great Britain all the way up until 1837, when they got usurped by another group of beings from Morocco. The beings from Morocco usurped them. Right, the Moors. So there's different groups of Moors. Keep in mind, as I'm talking about the Moors, there's good Moors, dirty, and then there's dirty Moors, who we call the Moorans. So you got the good, righteous Moors, like Noble Drew Ali, and then you got the dirty Moors. Right, we're gonna get into them. The dirty Moors is the ones that pull the camera trick with the $5 Indian so they can steal the gold. That's what it was about, stealing the gold. Right. The Moors from England. The Moors from England was still in the gold, but still stuff backfired on them. So the story goes is when they came over here, Christopher Columbus, if you check his diaries, he said he saw. Let me show you the people that he seen when they came over here. These are the people he seen when he came over here. People that look like her. Right? I'm gonna show you. And keep it okay. So when some people might say, "Oh, that's still like the $5 Indian." No, it's not, because we had so many different tribes over here that look different. Because we had about at least about 300 to 400 different tribes that some of them had different features. Right. So if you look at these people, you might see some of us had gray hair, black hair, because the Hindus mixed in with us over here. Because this right here, America, was called the melting pot. So it was different tribes that came from all over the world who befriended us, and they married into us, and they created different tribes. That's how you had so many different names for tribes. Right. So it was more than one feature. Some of them, they can range from this color. Most of us were this color though, because we the same color as the penny. The natives were the same color as the penny. We wasn't like the Blackamoors. I'm gonna show you them. He's a Blackamoor, right? So we wasn't like these people, the Earls, who came over and mixed in with us. These people were the American citizens. They became American citizens, right? The Native Americans wasn't, and really technically, the word native is not mentioned in indigenous rights. They call us indigenous. So native really is a misnomer. Native American really is a misnomer. But just for sake of conversation, I'm gonna say the Native Americans were not American citizens, nor were they U.S. citizens. Okay, these people became the U.S. citizens. They were the free white man, and then it was other groups. I'm going to show you though, but they was one of the free white mans that came from England, and they came with the doctrine of discovery, which was the Bible. Under the Bible and the Pope and the Papist bulls, sanctums, and all the other acts that they created, they came bringing you the Bible for gold. And look what they say on the Bible. Look what they say on that Bible. They say, "You be conquered. You be conquered." Because that's what the doctrine of discovery is all about. If you not no Christian, right, and you don't believe in Jesus, you gonna have to get down and become a slave and burn him. If you don't want to get down, he a wizard, warlock, burn him at the stake and take his land and pillage his village and take all his belongings. This is what the doctrine of discovery promoted. Doctrine of discovery promoted get down or lay down if you ain't no Christian. And wasn't nobody Christians around the world at this before the 1476 Spanish Inquisition, 1492. When Christopher Columbus was able to sail over here, because he wasn't able to sail because of another group of people called the Berbers. We're gonna get into them too. But look what he got on that Bible. You can't, you being conquered. All right, so these are the Moors from England, from London. the ones who got the black hands. They part of the black hand, one fraction of the black hand, right? And it's another group. They the Jewish fraction, but all of them claim that they more Zionist Jews. That's what they claim they are. They call it. Look at what he got on this paper right here. He got a Jewish symbol on there with the white gloves. He got the red bow tie. Keep in mind about the York Rites, Freemasons from England. This tape gonna be so fire. This tape won't have so much information dropped in it tonight at 12 o'clock at night. You're gonna have to probably go back and watch it, man, and then make the connections. But the York Rite Freemasons, they wear the white gloves, they wear a white apron, these they colors, they rock the crowns in their secret temples and lodges like they know about the mounds. But we build the mounds before these European Moors came, right? And let me get into it. But you can make the connection with the Nation of Islam, all that tie in together. York Rites, it's all connected, right? And these guys wear white gloves and they lodge, and they say they square business, and they dress like magicians. Now keep the magician thing in mind, because that's what these guys are all about. They magical guys, they wizards, they druids, they're priests. What they call themselves? They call themselves the Kohen priests. The Kohen priests, one fraction of them. Right, the Doors Roll was one of their games. We'll get back to that though. I just want to go through some of these pictures. This right here was the California Gold Rush. Hold on. All right, we'll get into this part, but what this was is when the Moors came, they needed a way to make you believe, and the world, the dirty Moors from England, needed a way to make the story believable that you vacated your land, you abandoned your land, more than just reclassifying you as black, Negroes, or colors. So they had to go through these acts where they act like they reclassified you as black, Negro, and colors, and then they filmed some people that they got like crisis actors, or they paid to be actors, and they made them go through the act, because that's why they call it acts. Acts. Why they won't just call it a law? Why they got to say it's an act, like an act in the role in Hollywood? Why they got to say it's an act, right? Because it is an act, and they played it out as if you left your home and abandoned your property, and you did if you took the title Black, Negroes, and Colors, you abandoned your estate because you didn't get a nationality, and nationality is another trick too. But just for sake, we'll get into that later. Nationality, because it still make you a citizen to somewhere, and then citizens make you subjects. So we didn't need no nationality and all that. That's more. The Moors came with all that type of. That's what I got to talk in context. The Moors came with all that ideology. We didn't believe in all that. We was blood family. I know you, you know me. Just like in a small town. In a small town, everybody know everybody. That's how it was over here before the Moors came. The dirty Moors, right? Because other Moors came before them that was good Moors, like Abu Bakr and Mansa Musa and them. Mansa Musa and them were good Moors. They were right. Mansa Musa and them were righteous Moors, and that's why we gave them a lot of gold, and they still came known as the richest people in the world by coming over to America. Not they telling you about Africa got all the gold, but then the richest people on earth that ever lived and still living to this day is Mansa Musa and Abu Bakr's brother, and they came to America and got the gold. So they put that in context, and they were Mulattoan Moors from West Africa. The Mandingos, the Mandingo bloodline is the ones that the pirate bloodline had been taken over, but these guys here, the guys that they paid to come over and trained on how to be Indians, and then signed into law, which was really color law. these acts and then played it out with these actors as if it was you, and then you thinking it's you to this very thinking that they part of you. Or some people don't know. Some people know that there's some of them $5 Indians, and then some of them actually were you who sold their own people out. Because some of these people are our children through all the different mixes. Like I said, it's so many people that came over to mix in with us and get that one drop of blood, because this was the melting pot, Big Mama's melting pot, right? So you might see some that look like this. They came over with the Ho Shin bunch. Ho Shin came on the West Coast. We just did a tape on that, me and Raw Hayes. But this how we looked in America. This how we looked, and this how Christopher Columbus said that people looked when he came over here. They was this color with the braids. I can show you the Armax. The Armax was over here, and I can show you braids like this on the Armax. So the Armax is the first before the Moors came over here. All right, we can get into the Moors. The Moors came down. The Moors were elves. Right? The Moors taught the humans how to build and do certain things. And that's what Genesis chapter 6, the sons of God, the Moors are the sons of God, the elves who are really extraterrestrials, who came down from Mars as part of the Igigis, and they began teaching the humans. And if you go read the book of Enoch on how to do certain things, how to use use the stars to navigate, because the Moors were good navigators, how to build boats, and etc. We got tapes already out on this, right? And these were the people who Andrew Jackson them used to do the act. Andrew Jackson them used these people to do the act to steal the land. The act was pay these people gold, pay them to come over, pay Europeans and other people from other countries, specifically certain parts of the country over in Europe and other parts, bring them over, pay them to do the act, the Indian Removal Act, or whatever act they created, and boom, that way it looked like you left, but you didn't. They just reclassified you, and then label your land as abandoned, because once you got no nationality, you don't got no estate. And it could get deeper than that. So people that don't like nationality, we can say birthrights. Once you don't got no birthrights, you don't got no estate. So people say, "Oh no," because nationality still make you a citizen. All right. So what they did is they did these Moors who were magicians, because in the lodge you got the worshipful master, and he got white gloves on, and he got a mallet. Right, the worshipful master have a mallet with a hat on, and he sits in the east, right? Because these guys come from the east, from Europe, and these areas, right? These dukes and earls who wear tuxedos in their lodges. I'm telling you, man. And they want a director. Keep in mind, a director of a movie has a wand, or a music director has a wand. The president is a director. The director has a wand, and that wand can translate into a pen. And keep in mind, they make wands out of Hollywood. They make magical wands out of Hollywood, the Druids, right? And so that wand can translate into a pen to create these acts, to conduct this band or conduct this movie. It can sign. So once Donald Trump when Donald Trump got in the first day when he got inaugurated, they came in there and started handing him acts, or handing him bills, or handing him stuff to sign, so he can use his wand to start the acts. Because once people get what the paperwork said, they gonna try to follow what the paperwork said, and they call them orders. And on every job you go to, you get what you call a job handbook, where it tells you the codes and conducts, pretty much, of how to act on your job. Pretty much is an act. Everything is an act. And the movie, the Hollywood Moors Takeover, Dirty Moors Takeover Hollywood, it break all that down. There's 3 components to all alchemy, and they needed 3 components to pull this alchemy off. Right? They needed somebody to switch us out with. They needed subjects. They needed the people to switch the subjects out with. And then they needed the illusionary trick. But this is what the natives looked like when these European Moors came over here. They started coming over. Probably like the dirty ones started coming over like in like the 1500s. It wasn't no Caucasian slaves over here. It wasn't no slaves over here until the first slaves were brought in 1700s by the Moors, 1715 by King George I and the Moors. We'll get into them. But what they did is, like I say, that wand is synonymous with a pen, a mallet in the court with a judge. The judges were black. They use their mallet, they won. It's synonymous with a lot of stuff, but they was use they won, which became the pen to pay for genocide the Native Americans to black Negroes and colored, and then use the Hollywood and filming and pretty much in alchemical sequence, all the acts they passed, like the Indian Removal Act, the Dawes Roll Act, the Homestead Act, right? The Indian Protection Act, all these different acts created the effects of stuff that was happening to the natives that really wasn't happening to us. And all that was happening to us, but not on the scale that they was promoting it. I'm telling you, man. Hey, man, can y'all hear me out there? They ain't cut my sound out, did it? All right, so they paid these guys. These guys supposedly paid them $5 to steal your birthrights, and they filmed these guys as the guys. But these what the guys look like down. This what the guys look like in California. The guys look like this. Now the guys that snaked you, this is what they dress like. That's what they dress like right here. This is what they look like. They came calling themselves the Quakers, the Pilgrims. They call themselves, and then these are the same guys that put the play on Malcolm X. And they said when Malcolm X said that, man, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock landed on us. These are the guys who landed on Plymouth Rock. They wasn't no Caucasians like they telling you. I'm telling you, man. All right, so some of the natives look like this, but it depends on which ones. It's like, so some of the ones you seeing, like these are real natives, even though they lighter, right? Because some, like I say, different tribes look different because this was the melting pot. We had so many different tribes that look different. So some of the Indians you see that look like this ain't $5. And that's what he a real native. Right? And the Moors doing the 3-card Molly. Remember, I did a tape on this called a whole bunch of clowns in this circus. They came with the 3-card Molly for your birthrights. Because they the ones that control the circus. These Shriners, the killer clowns. And who set up these are the same guys from London who set up the COINTELPRO operations to keep you down. I'm telling you, man. Right? And their whole game is we need to steal their birthrights for their gold. And because they consider themselves to be more intelligent than us and cunning, and because they was like the educators. They the one that created the law system, like the Latin law, and law is Latin. They created the Moors. So a lot of the legal systems and the terms, they consider themselves to be more civilized than us. Thus, hence the doctrine of discovery leading up to calling the natives over here savages. But the thing is, they like to show you these TPs, right? They like to show you TPs. We didn't really use TPs unless we went on hunt trips or camping trips, right? But they like to show these TPs on film like we was just savages living in TPs. No, we had whole cities over here. The whole city of Philadelphia was already built up. Most of all the major cities were already built up already. That's what they don't want to tell you. And then they wave a magic wand, and voila, you get $5 Indians. The ones they paid to come over with the age and features, the Huns and the other ones, who they paid some money to come over and put them out on the camera. And then put them on reservations and pay them to keep to the script. These European Moors. King George and them. Right? Here they go right here. He doing the card trick. Switching them out now with the $5. $5 guy. This is what they look like on the West Coast. That's what they look like. The Indian Removal Act. Right? We got tape out on that right there already, right? This is what they look like. This is what they came for. And California was one of the main, really, California and Central Mexico was one of the main biggest gold deposits in the world. Thanks to not only prior to the prior gold era, but also thanks to Inky, a new son who was smuggling gold on different advanced technologies like the submarine and the aircraft carriers and helicopters, which is why they had the mounds over here. The mounds is helicopter landing pads. That's why it says in the Bible, God scatters the people with a whirlwind. The whirlwind is a Chinook helicopter that Inky was using to take people to other places so they can mine the gold. All right, this is here Tupac. Tupac was a Native American, full-blooded Native American, right, from the Inca people, from the West Coast, Central America. All right. Now, when the Moors, once the Moors had got over here and started reclassify, had wiped pretty much anybody that was out talking about they was native, and got most of the natives, either the ones that they couldn't fight off, they moved to certain areas, chased them off, tried to exterminate them completely through germ warfare, all kind of other things. The other ones that was left, they reclassified them black, Negroes, and colored, and then they classified the land as abandoned. And once they had got the land as abandoned, then they started dividing it up. The Ottoman Empire, the Moors and the Ottoman Empire, who was connected with the Romans, all that's tied in together. These guys, that's what they look like. And and for some reason, they were really interested in Chicago. And this is a map of Chicago. So they came first, coming out to some about Chicago. And that's probably why they got the war going on between with the young natives, right? Who the gangster disciples, that's one of the tribes on the land in Chicago. And the folks going down to Chief Larry Hoover just got a pardon from Donald Trump. Keep in mind, Chicago is deep with the historical war going on, going back to Noble Drew Ali, with Jeff Fort in Chicago, with Larry Hoover in Chicago, David Boxtel, King David in Chicago. All these people, most of them moved from Mississippi, right? The old Big Mama's Kitchen, right? Mississippi, and moved to Chicago. So it's a lot of things about Chicago, but these Moors were specifically interested in the Mecca of the West, some by Chicago, and then Cairo, which is another city. It's a Cairo over in Illinois, and it's a Cairo over in Africa, in Egypt, right? This is what the group looked like who was writing all the scripts. The guys who write the scripts, who call themselves doctors, who sit in the background, and write the script, then hand it, and then they give it to another the director. The director uses one called a pen, and he signed it into law, so-called law, which most of it is color of law over here in America. If it goes against the Constitution, and we can't even get into how the Constitution is really tricky, and the Constitution they got don't even apply to us unless we operating in a U.S. citizen capacity. Right, but these guys are what they look like, the Druids, those who drew it, right? Those who write the script, right? They write the scripts and everybody acts it out. All right, this is the Moors Knights making deals with the Pope. Oh, by the way, all the presidents were Nubians. And all the presidents were Nubians. Even George Washington, we found pictures of the real George Washington, and we come to find out George Washington was a dark-skinned man with black hair, and he sold the American people out for a whole bunch of land in the western in like Texas and a couple other spots. When he retired as the president. He was one of the richest guys in the Western America, and I got a tape that's about to come out on George Washington. But George Washington wasn't even born in America. He was born in Barbados, and when he was 17, and he was a Nubian Moor. George Washington was a Nubian Moor, and when he was 17, he joined with King George and them in the British Army. Him and his brother. His brother ended up dying from tuberculosis. But he ended up working his way up under the British British Bulldog, and he ended up getting put over the whole thing by the Moors, by the British, and then he eventually turned on them. I'm telling you, man. Wait till matter of fact, I'll show you a picture. The picture might come up in this files of the real picture of George Washington, right? Because the Moors, you gotta keep in mind, a lot of the Moors is the ones that came with all this technology. The elves who came down, they had cameras, cell phones, all it. They had the fire. They were fire worshipers. They were the fire nation. I talk about that in the movie. The Moors were the fire nation. They're the ones that knew about plutonium and explosives. They knew about gunpowder. They had guns, right? These Moors. Because if you go back, Dr. Malachi talk about it in the Holy Tablets, how they were connected with these beings called from Pluto, who had plutonium and knew about explosives. And earlier, when these Nomos people came back in human form, they used plutonium to blow half of the earth off, and this became your moon, the origin of your moon. Elijah Muhammad talk about it too. But these groups of beings, they had the know how to make explosives. That's why when you watch the movie 300, the people that came to attack the 300, they was throwing them smoke bombs and all that. That's what the Moors, the Persians, the Moors. That's the same people, right? But these Moors came over and they used these guys to take over Hollywood. Use these guys to pretend like to be the natives. Then they rewrite you out of history and then still make off with the gold. They make off with the gold. And they created boarding schools to train them on how to be you so they could take your place. It's alchemy. It's magic. People in the Freemason Lodge, they up in there with they black, white gloves, black tuxedo, and they read the York Rights, right? Who's really the guys that's doing us, right? And they up in there like they know something, and they supposed to be knowing magic. They supposed to be magical guys, right? Because it go all the way back. You know what I'm saying? To tie in with the wizards. This is a wizard. This fez or this Tara Bush is a wizard hat. They're wizards. They're alchemists. For you people that say, okay, well, we don't like the word wizard. They're alchemists. And they are a different type of alchemist, and that's why they pulled the switcheroo. They needed somebody to switch us out with. They couldn't just say the natives disappeared. That's the story they give. All of the natives just disappeared. And they did wipe out 400 million natives, but they said the natives just disappeared. And all the native, and they swiped them out. These guys. Here you go, right here again. And they the guys that run the circus. These same guys, they run the circus, man. They ride around in clown cars at the parade. These same guys. And they are the FBI, the Killer Clowns. Go get my tape series called The Killer Clowns. I'm telling you, man. All right, yeah. So this one, what another one of us look like? She could be a West Coast Indian, right? See, you can see the Asian features because Ho Shin mixed in with us, like I said. Here he go right here. This from London, telling the clan mother that, hey, you gotta, they gonna come and take it if you don't sign. You might as well go on sign. I've been telling you about this. They were gonna. It's time to give it up, or they gonna take it. You can come out on top. And what she said, nah, I don't want to give up my land. Like this right here. It's like she got her hand right there, like stopping her. But he like, man, you go ahead and sign it over to him. What you doing? What you waiting on? It's gonna make you wealthy. But what it's doing is it was making her individual owner of the land. She didn't want to be individual owner of the land because we had tribal lands. We didn't have individual own. That's what the Dawes Road. This is part of the Dawes Road, right? The Dawes Road was to sign the individuals up, and then once they got them signed up individually, then come in, sabotage their crops so it couldn't grow nothing. And then once they couldn't pay the Moors back, the Moors take the land. That's how they was taking the land. Here's what some of the Moors look like that came from England. They dress like this. Like they are your Macs. They are your pimps. You know, the Macs are the Moors. And they were your first pimps. They the ones that had the Harlem. Go get a book called Night in the Moorish Harlem. Right? Where they captured Caucasian women and then put them and shave them up, put them in a Harlem, and then make them into prostitutes. And they started making money off of them. And that's how they would dress. This is why some of your pimps in the early 70s, they had they dress all flamboyant like this, and they call themselves Macs because that connects with the Moors who were selling people as slaves, and they were human trafficking. P. Diddy connect with these people. P. Diddy's dad, the Diddy's, the Combs, I mean, connects with these European Moors who came over, and they were traffickers. Bishop Magic Dunn one. You see how he dressed with the cane and all that. I wish you could see his whole outfit. And they not only that, I got a whole tape on this called The Origin of Pimping. Right, you can go in the Moors playlist, get a tape called Origin of Pimping, and I break all this down. But you see how flamboyant his hats and all that is. That's how the Moors dressed, these Macs. And they had women, and they could talk, and that's how they made a lot of their money through trafficking, human trafficking. So the people that started the human trafficking were Moors, and they started human trafficking Caucasian women at first. Go get a book, like I said, called Night in the Moorish Harlem. I got two different versions of it. I'm telling you. And so, like I said, this is what they dressed like, and they had fancy wagons with gold wheels on it, and the interior all laced up with the certain type of fabrics. So when they pull up to the balls, which became later the players' balls, right, and they get out, they had to clean this wagon. They used to paint their wagons. The Moors was the first one to start painting their wagons and putting gold trim in and all that. So when they pull up, they be this and that. So that stimulated all the way down to now where the pimps got to have a slick ride. The pimps got to have a slick ride. Why? Because it goes back to the Moors having slick wagons, and they dress all slick like this with the rings, with the rings popping all off and the chains and all lit. I got more pictures of them too. I'm telling you, man. And so they came over with this that ideology, that same ideology. Hold on, I want to just the last picture in that file. Yeah, that's the last picture in that file. Now let's go to this file. So you remember the black face? This right here, what they was making fun of them. Hold on, let's see what else we got. But I want to show you some though. Hold up, here we go, right here. All right, these are them making fun of the Moors, right? These guys they do this parade called a Marmars Parade, and I think it's they got one. They do them all around the world, like one in Amsterdam, one in England, and they do one in Philadelphia to make fun of the Moors because they sacked the Moors. That's what they're telling you. Here they go right here. Why are Caucasians painting their face black and putting fezzes on, dressing like the Moors, and they wearing the wasket. This is an Egyptian garment right here called a wasket. Some the Masons call it the regalia in a lodge, but it really goes back to ancient Kemet, and even the apron that the Masons wear go back to ancient Kemet too, because it was dealing with laying stone. That's another story though. But yeah, but you see, they making fun. They're doing a story reenacting the three kings, right? And then they react when they sack Granada, right? With Queen Isabella and them. These same guys. And keep in mind, all of this is alchemy. Don't forget, this is a conjure. For 1 second. Don't forget that for 1 second, we're dealing with alchemists. Don't forget for 1 second, we're dealing with the conjure. So they doing this as an alchemical strategy to keep the sequence going. Here we go right here. Here they go right here again, making fun. Here they go right here again, making fun. Here they go right here again, making fun of the Moors. This in England right here. They do these rituals every certain amount of years or every year. Some people have been boycotting it in certain countries, but hey, they still pulling the alchemy. Here they go right here again. Because they're showing you the Moors were the first firemen. The Fire Nation. The Fire Nation on the Avatar movie. How did they conquer the world? With bombs, with weapons, with nuclear weapons, with airplanes that can drop bombs on people. The Moors are the Fire Nation from the city of Ur. Ur is the city of fire, the city of light. Here they go again, making fun of the Moors when the Moors ruled as the three kings. Here they go again, the three kings. The three kings is like the three wise men, the three stars in Orion's belt. Go ahead. So here they go again, making fun of the Moors. Here they go again, it's the firemen making fun of the Moors. Here they go again. We got a lot of them. This is what the real American look like on the West Coast. That's what they don't want to tell you. Right? All right, this is King Sonny Ali. He was over Granada before 1492, before Queen Isabella and Ferdinand under the Spanish Inquisition and orders of the Pope, under the Doctrine of Discovery, to conquer anybody that ain't no Christian. So that included Moors. If the Moors weren't Christians, so that means anybody ain't a Christian, that means conquer the Moors as well. And they savages. The Moors are savages if they ain't Christians. And it got to make me wonder who sent the Christians out on this philosophy, because the first people to come up with that philosophy was Jewish people, according to their doctrine, because Judaism is older than Christianity. And in Judaism, and really Paul said it in Christianity, but really in Judaism, anybody that ain't a Jew is a Goyim, a heathen, a Gentile. So Anybody that ain't a so it's just like the same philosophy. You ain't a Christian, you a heathen, or you a savage. So if you ain't a Jew, you a Gohim, you a savage. So I wonder if the Christians get their philosophy from the Jews, or did the Jews create Christianity and use it as their arm to conquer the world while they sit back and protect their hands. The black Moor Zionist Jews. That's what they look like. From England. These are the guys that work, that they all work for the same group. See how he dressed? They got the gloves on. They got the fez on with the regalia. He got the semi-wide skit, what they call the regalia, right? And they say they Shriners. And what is a Shriner? A Shriner guards a tomb. Keep that in mind. A shrine is a place where a person is dead, buried. And then Shriners guard that place. So why would you need to guard a tomb, a dead man's tomb, unless you expect for him to get up? Unless you expect for him to get up. So you could be there to knock him right back in the top of his head as soon as he get up. And say, no, we ain't telling you nothing because you ain't a part of our. Here you go right here. Same outfit, man. So these guys working for England. They working for the one square mile in London. The Bankers Square. The 1 square mile in London, man. All these guys fall under the crown. Bow to the crown in London, which is ran by the Knights of Templar. The Killer Clowns work for the Knights of Templar. All right, it's a symbol, right? This sword is to keep the secret. What's the secret? That America is the land of the mounds, and that the real Egyptians are from America. That's what the secret really is. Dr. Malachi York got part of the reason why he locked up and set up by COINTELPRO, who is these guys. These guys are COINTELPRO. The reason why he got set up by these guys is because he revealed that secret that America was with Tamaray of the West, and he started building it. Not only did he reveal it, he started building it, and had it built, and then finished it. And that's why they had to come bulldozer that down, man. We don't want you knowing this, man. The Shriners, these guys are the guys that paid for the bulldozers to come in there and knock all the pyramids down on Tamaray of the West, the Holy Land that Dr. Malachi York put together. These guys did the bulldozer. And Sheriff Seals is a part of these guys. Keep that in mind as we go along. And these the York Rights is the guys I'm showing you. They wearing the bow tie with the vest on, with the white, black. These are the guys, the Moors from England. They the York Rights. Then you got the Scottish Rights. We can get into them too. Okay. This is the natives after they got reclassified as black, Negroes, and colored. And they started the new magical word was colored. To make us disappear, colored. This word paper genocided close to 80 million, 70 million Native Americans. And they started doing the Jim Crow, which stems from the Dawes Roll, the Black Codes, a combination of several things. Right? Colored. And then what happens is the Native Americans that was on the land down south, when they started getting into more wars with the Ku Klux Klan, a lot of natives left their home and went to the north, and that's what they call the Great Migration. Well, a lot of natives went to the north to get away from being attacked by the devil. All right. Hold on. This right here, Horace Greeley, the author and the owner of the New York Tribune. he was responsible for writing us out of history and changing a lot of people around. Right? You already know Ronald Reagan was an actor hired to play president. All right, so the Dirty Moors from Hollywood tape come from an idea. Me and Rod did a tape a long time ago called The Dirty Moors Takeover Hollywood, where Rod was kind of explaining some of the stuff. So the Dirty Moors Takeover Hollywood, the basis of it is taken from this tape about what Rod Hayes was saying about how the Dirty Moors took over Hollywood. And so we made a whole movie out of it. So you can go watch this tape right here, which is in the link in the descriptions on the Dirty Moors and the Hollywood tape, and you'll get Rod Hayes, what Rod Hayes was saying on it. Right? So here we did this. I think we did this about 3-4 years ago. All right, so you got more white face. Here's a real native right here. And these are the free white people that came as from Europe, who the Moroccans wanted to protect. The Moroccans weren't protecting these people. They were protecting these people. The Moroccan Moors. All right, hold on. Hold on, I want to show you this. I think this is them right there. This is them making fun of the Moors. See the black Moors. See how black they got this. See black with the black face. They making fun of the Moors. All right, now this is what they look like over here in America. This is one of the headdresses right here for the Iroquois. This is one of the headdresses right here for Virginia chiefs, because some of the chiefs wore the bayonet with the feathers straight up like this. It wasn't the feathers like, it depended on what tribe. The coastal line tribes had a different headdress, different type. Because like I said, remember Rod talked about it, right? Some people wore werewolves headdress where it was a wolf on their head. Some people had a fox headdress where it was a fox on their head. It depends on what tribe. Some people had it was another one, panther from the West Coast. Some people had the panther as their headdress. Some people had like I said, a wolf. Me and Rod did a tape on it called The Origin of the Werewolves. The people who wore the wolves. Right? So that was one of the headdresses. So we had animal headdress. Also, we had feather headdress. Also, for some of the people, tribes that had mixed with the Moors, they had the fez for headdress. And also, it was several other ones. The cowboy hat was brought over by the Moors from England. They the ones that wore the boots. We didn't wear boots over here. We wore moccasins. Right? So the Moors from England came with the cowboy hat and the boots. Right? Okay, hold on. Here's another picture of them making fun of the Moors in England doing similar to the Marmars Parade that takes place in Philadelphia. All right, here's another one where they are doing the Dutch. They doing the same ritual. They know the Moors was all the way around the world because the Moors were navigators and they built ships and they could go. The Moors were everywhere. So they everywhere that the Moors got sacked at and took over or got pretty much overthrown, they do a alchemical ritual to keep that simulation in the alchemical stratosphere. See what I'm saying? They keep this alchemy going. Look at the hair structure. That ain't their hair texture. These are Caucasians that painted their face white to make fun of the Moors. Now, like I said, this is what we look like in some of the tribes. He trying to look more demon looking. But like I said, the headdress is one of the headdresses for one of the tribes. Here they go again, making fun of the Moors. Here they go again. Here they go again. They still doing it. All right, so because this is what the Moors look like. See how dark he is? He's a Moor. He's a Moor from Morocco, though. See, this is what we're gonna get into. Because at first the natives over here was getting took advantage by King George and the Moors from Great Britain, the real Moorish Empire, and essentially the Morocco was part of that Moorish Empire, but the Moroccan Moors were different from the British Moors, and the treaty actually tell you that. The treaty actually tell you that because it says that they were helping them fight against the British, these other Moors, right? So it was Moors were fighting against Moors. It just depends on what clan it was. Here's some picture of some real Americans. And here goes some of the headdress, like I was telling you that they wore, how they wore the feathers straight up on some of the West Coast tribes, and especially the Seminoles down in the east, down in Florida, right? They wore this type of headdress with the feathers straight up. All right, let me see. Just they feds they rocking these guys, these Yorks, these York rights. All right, here they go again. And they're selling. Most of the people don't. Some of these people don't really know what the game is, right? They just in there trying to get recognition and trying to be a noble, right? But a lot of these people, most of them, for the most part, when they get this high up, they figure out the game. You don't put this on and not know the game and not know about the mounds or know some semblance of what's going on, but they ain't telling you nothing because they sign a contract saying that we're gonna pay you to keep the script. What's the script? They black Negroes in color. They came from Africa. And we'll laugh and grin. We'll give you about 40 acres and a mule. We'll give you your 40 acres and a mule. So they get they laughing and grinning with their 40 acres and a mule while they keep the secret. Okay? And I ain't even got to beat it over your head to tell you who these guys are, what they all about. There go Harriet Truman right there. He was the guy that was connected with. He's a Shriner. Harriet Truman is one with the same York Right guys. They all connected with they work for the Black Hand, the Black Moors in England. They control London. Look, here you go. Here you go again. Truman. And the dude that look, and these guys. Now let me make the connection for you. This right here is these guys are the guys that robbed the gold. The York Rights, the dudes with the bow ties, the Moors. Let me tell you, and they use these guys as the middleman to do the heist. All right, so in 1933, after the stock market crash, they did a thing called a gold standard. I think it was Gold Standard Act, where they called all the Native Americans gold, and made and legalized it. Pretty much created an act. It's an act, right? We can look it up. It was a standard. Let me look it up real quick. See, can I look it up? I think it's called a Standard Gold Act. Another act, right? To rob the Native Americans of all their gold. Somebody drop it in the chat because I don't want to mess up because it started stuttering if I try to pull up the internet. It started chopping. But somebody drop it in the chat. Was it Franklin D. Roosevelt or which one president was it that signed that Standard Gold Act where they robbed all the gold from the Native Americans? And then from that point on, they gave you fiat, and so you ain't never had no money since then, right? You ain't never had no money since these guys robbed you for all your gold. And that's where that picture gonna come up at of these Moors, dirty Moors still in the gold. Hold on, let me get to it. Here we go, right here. Hold up. Hold on, I'm gonna show you this picture because this is what the end goal was right here, which is why they did that gold thing, that act, the gold act. All of it was an act. It's a picture of these guys making off with the gold, but let's go to another one. Let's get out of this. We just put out 9 tapes on the video side today. If you're new to the channel, so you got a lot to catch up on. If you behind, we got so much stuff coming out. We're gonna have something coming out tomorrow too, which is gonna make it a little. Let's see. Okay, yeah. He go a picture of what George Washington really looked like. See, I think they lying. I think all the presidents was black or Nubian or Moors descent, a Native American descent, all the way up into Abraham. Abraham Lincoln was Nubian. King George III was a Nubian. We got pictures of him. They got all these people pictures in the Library of Congress and books. And comes to find out that when after he sold America out, United States paid him a large sum of land for that sellout. He got paid a large sum of land in the West. I'm gonna have the whole storyline coming out sometimes this week. But he wasn't even from America. He was from Barbados. George Washington was from Barbados, and he got like so many acres. It was like it was up in the hundreds of thousands of acres that he got, and George Washington became one of the richest men in the United States after he left the president office, off of enslaving natives and off of the land grab that he got, and off of cutting off of cutting off of King George now. Cutting off King. He was he started out as a British soldier and then worked his way up to a general. And then he got inaugurated as president by John Hanson, another brother who was a brother. Right? They just see they trying to paint this picture that we just inaugurated some Caucasians in, and they were still slaves really in the 1700s. They didn't really get their freedom to 1775 when they started the American Revolution against the Moors in Great Britain. So all the way up to Abraham Lincoln, I believe that Thomas Jefferson and Andrew Jackson were mulattoes. Some of them were mulattoes up after that point. Like what his name is, some of them were mulattoes, I believe. But this right here is a picture that I found, and then they gave a whole storyline on the real George Washington. And I was like, dang, man, he sold us out to get all that land, and he became one of the richest men. That's crazy. Right? And so, yeah, you go check that out, man. I'm going to have a whole tape coming out on it, though. On the George Washington really was the Nubian that sold America out. They go different pictures of them right here. Hold up. Let's see if it let me go through it. Right. We just put that tape out of him sending the letter to the Sultan. They try to show the Sultan as a Caucasian guy, but the Sultan was a Nubian brother. A mixed. He was like a Nubian Arab looking dude. Okay. Like I said, we got a lot of this information already out on the video side, on the Native American Chief playlist. Go to the Native American Chief playlist. We got the whole get down up in there. And we got about 15 more tapes coming out, where we're going through all the Nubian Native American tribes. Just like we already did the Choctaw one. All right, let's see. Dirty Moors. Let me see what I want to go through. It's another file I got to go through. Okay, is it this one? Okay, it's not that one. All right, let's see what's in this one. Oh, yeah. Okay, let me go through this one. Let me go through this one real quick. All right, so you already know we got a tape on the we just put out our game. Pretty much, it was game to get the Native Americans to trade their birthrights in for some land because they were starving us out. It's like this: if you got a big family, and we all had big families, and still up until probably like the late 70s, most black families, so-called, who was reclassified as black, Native American families who got reclassified as black, Negroes, and coloreds, most of them was having 20 kids. Like my grandma, my great grandma, she had 20 kids. My grandma, my brother, my granddaddy got like 15, 17 brothers and sisters. So Big Mama was popping out babies, 20, 30 babies, right? Back then, right? So we needed land to provide for our family to grow stuff. And they had conquered our land and pretty much sabotaged us, right? And so, in order to get land, some natives sold their birthrights for the 40 acres and a mule, and some of them didn't even get it. Some of them didn't even get the 40 acres because they only had 400,000 acres to give out. Right? I mean, well, it was 400,000 acres, right? So some people didn't even get it. They sold their birthrights, but the ones that did, they reclassified as freemans, prior slaves, right? They got the 40 acres, and then when they did get the 40, and it was part of the Dawes Road, right? It was part of the Dawes Road because it was a divide the land up, which was really tribal land. It wasn't no individuality land, so it was a divide the land up, give it back, like make it like they was giving it back to the natives as freemans, which classified them under as Christian property under the doctrine of discovery, and pretty much they will be sharecroppers and tenants, not own the allodial title to the land. They would get a deed, right? And they would be the permanent tenants, and they would just sharecrop the land. And so, and then that ain't even work because the Ku Klux Klan would sabotage all their crops so that they wouldn't make enough money to pay for the land, and boom, they end up losing the land to some to European colonizers, right? And so boom, they lost. That's how they end up taking over all. That was a part of the way how they started taking over all the land. Besides the abandoned property laws, when you abandon your estate by not calling yourself other than what you are, because you're not black. Black is a crayon. Right. So the Freemen's Bureau was game. It was a hustle. It's the same to say getting food stamps, because in order to get food stamps, you got to go be a subject, be a U.S. citizen to get assistance from the government. So it's free. That's part of the they said the Freeman's Bureau ended, but it didn't. The Freeman's Bureau just turned into food stamps, welfare, WIC, support from the government for people that have reclassified and sold their birthrights. So, but as far as giving you 40 acres and a mule, that part ended because they ain't had that many mules to give that many Native Americans. They only had a couple mules and 400,000 acres. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, man. And so, yeah. They ain't gonna give you no the person that came out with that, they put a bullet in the back of his head. And he was a Nubian brother. They show a picture of him. These are the Moors. These are the British Moors. They came over from England. The ones that came from England, they were in Spain. Some of them came from Spain. Because you got to just go look up all the people that did us, right? One of the groups that did us were French Moors. Then there was another group that was Spanish Moors. There was another group that were Moors from England. Because you got to look at the people that had their titles, their grants on the land. All right, that's another picture of that. Here's another group of the Moors coming from Britain. King George's bunch. King George bunch, when they come over, it's the native having to sign over his land. We ain't never used no paperwork. But what they did is they created the Dawes Road, gave him the land for his whole family. And then when they couldn't pay the money on the tax on the land because they sabotaged the crops, they take the land. So now he got to sign it over because he's all starved. Same here with all the natives signing their land over after they created the Dawes Road. Who are these guys? The European conquerors under the doctrine of discovery. Look what he's holding, the cross. They conquered everybody under the cross in the name of the Pope and Jesus Christ and the cross and their Lord and Savior. So you people, all you people over here that's Nubians who really Native Americans, if you a Christian, you still are conquered. You still being conquered. The people who conquered you forced you to be Christians or be a slave and be a savage. And when you became Christians, you still was slaves. Christianity is a conqueror religion. I tell you, man, if you're a Christian at this point, God bless your heart, because you might be a good soul and you need it. But I'm telling you the truth. This 2025 is the truth. Under the doctrine of discovery, you native over here got forced to turn into Christians. Because if you ain't a Christian, you a savage. If you ain't a Jew, you a gohim. You a heathen. I'm telling you, man. So these guys who not Christians, they savages. Even though they had their own laws, they were nice as hell. So you got to the guys that came over and called them savages. They were nice. They gave them food to survive for a whole winter. And they should have let them guys starve. These guys should have let them guys, the Moors who came over here, starve that winter, called the Pilgrims. And maybe we would have been in the same predicament that we in a way. So the Freeman's Bureau was game. The Freeman's Bureau set up boarding schools for Native American children to inject Roman ideology in their veins. And this became your public schools that's still going on today, where they could train you out of your culture and your Native American heritage and train you into the Roman Empire, the New World Order, a new world order. While they train some other kids into a little bit about your society and then use them as a camera trick to steal your birthrights. Which they don't got your birthrights, they just get a kickback every month from the gold that they got heist by the guys that rock the feds I just showed you. The same guys. Okay. Let's get it. All right. Here's a picture of Abraham Lincoln. Remember I told you all these guys were Nubians up until Abe, I think. Some of them were mulattoes. Here's the real picture of Abraham Lincoln. Horace Greeley and all of them and the Smithsonian Institute switched these people out with actors. With actors, man. They've been lying the whole time. 14 presidents. It was 14 presidents before George Washington and all of them were Nubians. Well, at least 9 of them or 8 of them were Nubians. The other ones were from different races. I got a whole tape out on it though called 14 Presidents Before George Washington. John Hanson, who inaugurated George Washington, the Nubian or the Moor who sold America out for a whole bunch of land in the West Coast. Right? But this is the aid that they put a bullet in the back of for overturning the 13th Amendment and a so-called abolishing Christian property on paper under the doctrine of discovery. When he crashed the 13th Amendment, that killed that killed slavery on paper. But they still was enslaving people in Texas and other places. But because of that, he got banged because he bankrupted them by getting rid of their stock, Christian stock. He got rid of Christian stock. Man, he messing with the Pope's money. Abraham, old Black Abe, was messing with the Pope's money, man, when he went and got rid of the 13th Amendment, which locked people in as chattel property with the Pope. It locked them in so the Pope can get in their pockets. Right? The Pope can stay in your pocket as long as you chattel Christian stock. Now, here's another picture of old Abe. And they switched him out with an actor. This is the Tuskegee experiment where they used syphilis and injected into the natives as a test run. And they still doing this stuff right now today. Here they go right here doing it again. These people are the natives. It's a part of paper. It's a part of colonization. It's a part of genocide. That's what they look like. The Tuskegee experiment. Y'all remember that? Tuskegee experiment. The Klan. Okay. I think this is the guy. I think this is the guy that passed the Order 15 for the Freeman's Bureau. To set up the Freeman's Bureau. It was his idea to give out the 400 acres and a mule. And Abraham, I believe that he was some connected with Abraham Lincoln. I believe that he was some connected with Abraham Lincoln, the white one. And here's the look. Now it's the guy that set up the 15, the order number 15 for the Freeman's Bureau, and he a Freemason. He's shooting a hidden hand right here, and you already know when they shooting that hidden hand, it's always a secret agenda. I'll think of his name in a minute. General, I'll think of his name in a minute. Okay. Let's see. All right, so this is what the Moors look like. Some of the Moors from Europe when they came over, this is how they dressed. And they was enslaving the natives. As slaves, these guys. They wore cowboy hats with boots. We wore moccasins and Native American garment, and we wore feathers. Right? We didn't wear cowboy hats. They came over here with it. They dressed like this. We didn't dress like this, though. They had us dressed like this after they robbed us. Right? You see what he got on right here? This is a certain type of buffalo hide. We wore certain type of buffalo skin and deer skin, other skins. All right, yeah, it's the Freeman's Bureau. Okay, let me see what else, anything else we need to talk about in this. So I didn't want to hold you long. People can go back and watch. Okay. Okay, yeah, this what they did right here. Took they just made a actor and took him and switched him out, just like they did John Hanson. Everybody, all of ones that came before Abraham Lincoln was Nubians. It's a symbol that the Freeman's Bureau used. All right, hold on. Okay, all right, so we went through that one. Let's see what else we got. We got one more. I think we got another one here. Let's see. All right. Oh yeah, here's a picture right here of King George III. Who they made a white guy. Extra tax by King George. This is the guy that was taxing them. The British, the Moors, the British Empire. And these people ruled England and his whole family up until 1837 till they were overthrown. And pretty much his whole family was assassinated by the Knights of Templar. And then switched out with Queen Victoria and them. And now the people you see in England now is coming down from Queen Victoria and the Derus who live underground. Because if Queen Victoria was like 400 pounds. And that's a Deru obesity gene. They come from these beings that live in Germany. Queen Victoria was a German Deru. And they overthrew his family, the real people, the Moors, who controlled Britain all the way up until 1837. So this King George was the ones that when they said that, oh, he's taxing us. We got to get this guy off of under us. Why? Because King George and them was bringing slaves over here. He has Caucasian slaves. They were rounding up Caucasian. Pretty much, most of them were convicts. And England prisons became full. His granddad, this is King George III. All right, so his granddad is King George I. King George I, when the prisons became overflowing with Caucasian convicts from crimes, they started flushing them off on everybody else. First they started flushing them off from Africa, and that's how a lot of Caucasians got to South Africa. The Moors, the British Empire, brought them there as pretty much white servitude, as convicts on like a work release. They work a certain amount of years on that land that they conquered, that the British Empire conquered, and in turn they get their release. Same thing that's going on now with the prisons over here, right? And so his granddad, the first, started taking people all over. They took people to Australia. That's how the Crocodile Dundee types, who are really got there to Australia. He not the original Aborigines, which is the dark skinned people that look like they got straight hair, the Aborigines of Australia. So Crocodile Dundee got brought there by these people, the Moors, the Britain. And then they start in 1715, they started bringing people to America, bringing Caucasian slaves to America, the Moors, and making them work the 13 colonies, which they had which the British had conquered from the Native Americans. So at first, these Moors were taking advantage, the Moors from Britain were taking advantage of the Native Americans. And they took advantage and set up the 13 colonies, which were really companies that had leasing agreements with King George and the Parliament. Because it was like the Indian Company, the Dutch Company. It was 13 different companies that was over here using land to make money for their company, whether it was selling tea, cotton, tobacco, which is one of the main things really over here, wheat. And some of them companies was growing that food and then putting it on their boat, taking it back to their country and selling it, because you got to keep in mind, stuff is scarce in England. They don't got all the type of good land that we got over here in America. That's why they wanted our land, was because we could grow a lot of food over here on our land, right? In England, it'd be cold. It's icy in a lot of spots. It's mountains in a lot of spots. It's hard to really grow food over there. So they wanted to come over here and get the land and use it for the 13 colonies, were really to grow the food to sell it as a good to other countries, and they own and provide food for the other countries. And for a little partially, we agreed to this thing, and that's how it became. King George was a little bit. He liked the natives a little bit. King George liked the natives after a certain while. Once he see how profitable it was making deals with the natives, right? So they were taking advantage of the people first on getting the land. But what they started doing is in 1715, his granddad and them started bringing the white servitude, the white convicts, over to America and making them work their land for their business as pretty much as slaves. And they were picking cotton, tobacco farms, whatever it was. And they were supposed to, once they worked for a certain amount of time, King George and them had promised them to get land, and they released after a certain amount of time, but they never did come through on that thing. So after about 60 years of that going on, where the British Moors taking advantage of white colonizers who got sent over to work them farms for the businesses, they got fed up with King George and started the American Revolution to break free from the British, the colonizers, not the Native Americans. The Declaration of Independence and Independence Day don't got nothing to do with Native Americans. Well, it got something to do with us as far as us getting more colonized, but it don't got nothing to do with us as far as what took place. It's dealing with the white colonizers who got brought over by King George and them as convicts, and they separation and freedom from the British, from these guys. And eventually they beat King George and them and broke free. But then once they broke free, and that set up the United States, the 13 colonies. So United States was just 13 colonies at first. And then once they got King George off their back, they turned and got on our backs and started then trying to conquer us for more land and more land and more land till they conquered the whole United States now. All the native land. At least that's what they tell us, right? And so pretty much King George and them brought the devil all over here on us. Because all of them guys they brought over here were convicts, remember? And so they were world-class criminals. World-class criminals. Because King George I said, I flushed the toilets of England onto America. Just like Fidel Castro said, I flushed the toilets of Cuba onto America. Huh? All the criminals from Cuba got sent over as refugees to Florida from Cuba. Fidel Castro. Right? So once the convicts broke free from King George with the American Revolution, with some help from us, because King George was hustling us too. So some of our tribes fought with the white convicts and helped them get rid of King George for excess taxation. Is what they say, right? But it really was so they could start their own thing. And that starts the Declaration of Independence. That starts the Treaty of Paris, which don't got nothing to do with us. Don't got nothing to do with us as natives. None of this stuff. That starts the friendship treaty, peace and friendship between the Moroccan Moors and the U.S. 13 colonies, which was not part of America. United States 13 colonies, corps, businesses, company is not a part of America. It's a business, and right now they only got 10 by 10 square miles, right? And they really lost it. They really lost it once we staked our totem pole in D.C., right? But what I'm getting at, but what happens is they broke free. The Independence Day and American Revolution is to break free from the Moors, the British Moors. And then once they broke free, they turned on us and started wanting to conquer our land. And this started all these acts, this Indian Removal Act, this Dawes Robes Act. All these acts were brought on by United States Corps to pretty much gain more land from the natives. Right? Hey, shout out who that is. Jedi Sage. When I hear Jedi Sage, I think about Tahuti. Tahuti was a Jedi Sage for that super chat. Hey, today was my birthday, man. For all y'all that's on, if you want to show me some love, well, yesterday it was the 2nd, and I'm just not being able to go live. If you want to show me some love, the Cash App is pinned in the links, man. You take $1, $5, $10, whatever you got to help us out, right? Especially how they've been doing me lately. But after these Moors in Britain got cut off, and they pretty much was using us for ransom, or using us like as pretty much, what's the word I'm looking for? Because they were taking advantage of us at first, and at the same time protecting us from other Moors that wanted to take advantage of us. So it's like this. It's like we took the lesser of two evils almost. When we made deals with the British, it was to help us protect, partially was to help us protect the coastal lines from other dirty Moors who wanted to come and take advantage of us. You know what I'm saying? And then so when the American Revolution happened and the British Moors got cut off, we pretty much had no more help from nobody else to come help us. So the convicts then turned on us with the help of their overseers, who were European dark-skinned Moors. Their overseers were European dark-skinned Moors. Now, this is where the Treaty of Peace and Friendship come in, because these Moors were supposed to not be messed with. These ones that were from Morocco and England that had this treaty was to protect them, and they were American citizens, because the Moroccan thing is America. The Moroccans is the one that changed it to America, but it was Tamari, right? So they became, if you are under this treaty, if you are a Moroccan citizen, which is subject, a citizen still is a subject. So they were subject to. They were subject. Some in this room. They was dust or something. So they were subject to the crown or to the Sultan of Morocco in this treaty, and they was not to be touched under the Peace and Friendship Treaty. But they weren't Native Americans. Them people weren't Native Americans. They were American citizens. Right? That's a difference. So you need to go watch them tapes I put out. I put out a tape on the Peace and Friendship Treaty, pretty much the whole get down of the beginning of the United States courts, which was only 13 colonies, not the rest of America. They stole and pillaged and sabotaged and did whatever they could do, pull acts off and stage marches just to steal our land. Besides the point of paper genociding us under the Eugenics Acts in 1924 with Walter Plecker and them in Virginia, which spread it like wildfire to other states after they was successful and pretty much paper genociding 70 to 80% of the Virginian Native Americans. A lot of this stuff just might be too deep. But now, but for the Moors that came on the Moors movie, they think that I'm after Moors. We're not after all Moors. All Moors wasn't dirty Moors. We just after the dirty Moors. And like I say, everybody over, like Raw Hayes said, everybody over here wasn't Moors. Right? And the Moors are the ones that came with this game, this paper genocide, the slavery, the whole nine, the whole the Moors are the dirty Moors are behind the whole get down. Besides going back to Enlil and Dragon Reptilians and Ashtar Command. They behind the whole get down on scamming us. Right? Here's the Pope after he got put on notice. And then he wrote the letter to Obama. And then Trump responded with the letter to Raja Allen Moore, telling him that we closing out the contract with U.S. courts with the dirty Moors. We got that tape out too. We got the tape on breaking down the letter from Obama to Trump, and we got the tape from Obama to from the Pope to Obama, 2014, I think. And then we got the letter from Trump to Roger Allen Moore once he got in office, which is why the feds, the killer clowns, the Yorkites raided Donald Trump's establishment because he was closing the contract out with the European Moors, who the ones that stole the gold and took it to Switzerland. And they used them guys, they killer clowns, who are the grand potentates of the 13 colonies. They call them 13 Federal Reserves now. Right? Well, 12 Federal Reserve, 13 being DC. And they're the guys who ran the whole get down, the whole gold heist, gold rush, gold socket to my pockets, because they Moors and they Max and they pimps. Right? Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, here go King George right here. See, it's what they said right here. King George, your majesties. Your most majesties. Your scarce majesties. See that? All right, that's it in that one. All right, we got about, I think we over time, but let me see if I got one more. It's one more picture. Yeah, let's go through this one right here real quick. Then you had different Moors that wanted to take advantage of the natives. You had Muslim, so you got the different Moors were the Muslim Moors. The Muslim Moors were the Moors from Morocco, right? The Muslim Moors were the Moors from Morocco, and that's these guys. Some of them were from Morocco. And then you got the Christian Moors. The Christian Moors are the ones that came out with the whole taking everybody crap. And And then the Islamic Moors followed suit because they are part of the same organization, the three-head conglomerates, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. But the Christianity ones is the ones that did most of the taking for a lot of the parts, because the doctrine of discovery and the Papist bull and sanctums and they savages. Burn. Hey, look, they come to your land. Hey, they ain't Christians. They're savages. Burn their village, rape their women and kids, and kill the man. Yeah, that's what these guys own. All right, now see, so these were the Moors from Great Britain, right? This is American Revolution, and so this is what it was like over here, and they paint you the other story around. This dude was a slave to this dude. This dude was a slave to this dude. Like he bought him and had him as a hand, as like his secretary or something, and he started raising him. And this right here, dude, was the master. They telling you the story in reverse. These Moors. Yeah, he got this little. This is his, like his. And the Moors didn't treat the Moors. Some of them dirty Moors treated the Caucasians bad, but some of them treated them nice. Some of the Moors treated them nice, the wealthy ones, and they became under them. And some of them even left some of their wealth to these guys. And in some cases, these people were their children, and they called them mulattoes. Mulattoes, because they started mixing with these people, the Moors, and created what you call mulattoes. And that's your real Europeans. The mulattoes and the dark skin, these dark skinned Moors are your real Europeans. Okay. All right. So it was mostly Nubians. This is when they signed the Paris Treaty. Well, it was the Paris Treaty. The Paris Treaty. Right. You see his brothers with fezzes on, and then etc. All right. This is I forget this dude's name, but he was one of the high-ranking soldier who won the native. He was a Native American, but he was high rank in the new colonists, because some Native Americans joined the colonizers. And it's pretty much like this. You see this uniform? Imagine if this was a Walmart uniform, right? So it's like the British Indian Company or the Dutch Indian Company come over, and then they got land and they growing food, and they pay people to work or come over there to run their land, right? They'll pay a supervisor. So he like a supervisor at Walmart working for the British Indian Company while they product is growing tobacco. And so he get the uniform. And he a Native American, but he work at Kroger's, Walmart. It's the same, just like you are right now. So some of our people work with the enemy, work with the people who were colonizing us, because they were the people who were paying. They would pay you, and sometimes if you are native and you work with them, they'll pay you more to keep you quiet. And this became your Freemasons. The natives who work for the Walmart or the British Indian Company, who got high money, he got little secrets about what they know, and boom, as long as you stay quiet, we'll pay you. And you'll walk around with gold on, and you'll be a master, while everybody else will be the slave. All right, these are Moors from Britain. These are Moors. See, if you see the bottom of how they pants are, this is a different type of pants right here, a different type of dress. Notice the dress when you see, sir, because it was different Moors. You see, they got the fez, and some of them rock the terry bush around it or the wrap around it, but they got a different pant. This is the Ottoman Empire. See, the Ottoman Empire is connected with King George now, but they more Romans. The Romans from Spain and that area, like certain other areas, right? And this is them making a deal with the British Moors. The British Moors is over here with the red coats. The redcoats were the British Moors, and then these guys Moors were the Ottoman Empire, because the Ottoman Empire was helping some of the same. They were running with the same crew to conquer the world. The Ottoman Empire is the main fire nation that was conquering the world. This is all some of the big mamas over here singing, having one of the gatherings. All right, so you see, these are redcoats over here, and these right here guys were slaves who joined the military to get out of slavery, but then when they got over here, they joined the colonies to break free from the Moors. So that's why you see them; they got red coats on too, and they really just was working for these guys. But when the American Revolution jumped off, some of the guys who were really still servants working in the military for the Moors that wanted to break free some of the Caucasians, they turned on them and started, and it was part of the American Revolution. You see? This was the land right here. The 13 colonies. I don't know if you see my script, but they only had this part over here. This was the United States was only this part over here. But now it's been dissolved to just a little bitty piece in Virginia, which is what they call in DC, 10 by 10. All right, this is George Washington them when they was really getting ready to sell the Moors, when they were getting ready to sell the colonists. See, George Washington was part of the colonists. He was part of the United States, not for the natives, the 13 colonies. After they broke off Great Britain, he was a part of the colonists, the people who were American citizens connected with Morocco, not Native Americans. But it was some Native Americans in different positions in the Republic, right? Okay, I think that was the last picture. Yeah, it was the last picture. But we're gonna let you go, man. We didn't want to hold you long. But if you want to show us some love on the back end, like I said, y'all get trapping off a deal, man. Your local, your hood anchor man in the game, man. And pretty much, like I said, I put out 9 tapes today for you guys on my birthday. I was working all day. I worked 3 days in a row to get all 9 of them tapes lined up, plus the movie about the Moors Takeover Hollywood. So we've been working all day, nonstop, day and night, to get them tapes all lined up to where they play back to back, in order to give you a beginning breakdown of what U.S. history was like and how it affected the Native Americans, how the U.S. Corp started from the 13 colonies to take over, and now you got 13 Federal Reserves. Right, and it's pretty much the same synopsis, ideology, because it's the same companies. The same companies just changed their name, refiled in Puerto Rico after old Abe bankrupted them. But peace and love. Thanks for anybody that sent donations, man. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm gonna have Rod on sometime this week. And I'm gonna have a new guest on, that Rod bringing on this week as well. So peace and love. Waduk, man. Free Dr. Malachi Z. York.